Imagine being so rich that your vacation accidentally destroyed entire countries' economies. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, pocket change. Let me tell you about the African king who was so wealthy he literally broke money itself. The year is 1324. In West Africa stands the Mali Empire, stretching from the Atlantic Ocean to the bend of the Niger River. Larger than Western Europe. Combined, its capital, Timbuktu, isn't just a city. It's the center of the Islamic world's learning. While Europe is stumbling through the dark ages, Timbuktu University has 25,000 students studying astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and law. But here's what made Mali different from every empire in history. They were sitting on half the world's gold supply, and ruling over all of this was Mansa Musa, Emperor, King of Kings, the Lion of Mali. How rich was he? In today's money, $400 billion. That's more than the top 10 richest people alive combined. But numbers don't tell the whole story. This man had so much gold, he didn't even know how much he had. They stopped counting, and in 1324, this walking economy decided to go on a little trip. What happened next would crash three countries' economies for a decade. Every Muslim dreams of making the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. For most, it's a once-in-a-lifetime spiritual journey. For Mansa Musa, it was about to become the most expensive road trip in human history. First, let's talk about his travel squad. This wasn't your average pilgrimage group. 60,000 people. Let me say that again. 60,000 people, including 12,000 personal slaves, each carrying 4 pounds of gold bars. 500 heralds just to announce his arrival, dressed in Persian silk. 100 camels, each carrying 300 pounds of gold dust. His senior wife with 500 attendants of her own. Generals, governors, griots, doctors, teachers. Wait, let's do the math here. 12,000 slaves times 4 pounds of gold equals 48,000 pounds. 100 camels times 300 pounds equals 30,000 pounds. Total 78,000 pounds of gold. That's 35 tons of gold. In today's prices, over $2 billion just for spending money. And this wasn't even his wealth. This was his travel budget. So in July 1324, this moving city began its 4,000-mile journey across the Sahara Desert. The plan? Travel from Mali through Egypt, then to Mecca, pray, and come home. Simple, right? Nobody, not even Mansa Musa himself, could have predicted what would happen when that much gold hit the ancient world's economy. After 2 months crossing the Sahara, the caravan reached Cairo, Egypt, the New York City of the medieval world. Now the Sultan of Egypt, Al-Nasir Muhammad, had seen wealthy visitors before. But when his scouts reported what was approaching, Your Majesty, there's an entire city of gold coming towards us. Before we go further, you need to understand medieval economics. Gold wasn't just currency, it was the economy. The amount of gold in circulation determined everything. Bread prices, salaries, trade deals, everything. Cairo's economy had been stable for centuries, about to change. See, Mansa Musa had a problem. He was a devout Muslim and Islam demands charity. In his mind, he was being blessed by Allah with this wealth, so he must share it. He gave gold to everyone. Beggars on the street, gold. Merchants in the bazaar, gold. Government officials, gold. Random children, gold. The guy who held his camel, gold. He donated 50,000 gold dinars to the Sultan. He paid for every single mosque in Cairo to be renovated. He gave away so much gold that runners had to go back to the caravan 5 times to get more. The people of Cairo thought they'd hit the lottery. Suddenly, everyone had gold. Poor families could afford food. Merchants expanded their shops. It was an economic miracle for about 3 days. Then the miracle became a catastrophe. You see, when everyone has gold, gold becomes worthless. A loaf of bread that cost 1 dinar on Monday costs 5 dinars by Friday. By the next week, 10 dinars. Within a month, that same loaf cost 50 dinars. Mansa Musa had given away so much gold that he'd caused hyperinflation. The entire life savings of Cairo's middle class became worthless overnight. Merchants who'd saved gold for decades watched their wealth evaporate. Trade routes collapsed. International deals were cancelled. The Egyptian economy was in ruins. And Mansa Musa? He was already on his way to Mecca, completely unaware he'd just economically nuked an entire country. In Mecca, Mansa Musa completed his Hajj. He prayed at the Kaaba. He drank from the Zamzam well. He fulfilled his religious obligations with the devotion of a true believer. And yes, he gave away gold there too, because of course he did. Then Medina, more gold giveaways. The man was like a walking, talking economic disaster, leaving a trail of inflation wherever he went. But here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. On his journey back, messengers from Cairo caught up with his caravan. The news they brought? Your Majesty, Cairo is in chaos. The gold you gave, it's destroyed everything. People are starving because they can't afford food. Merchants are bankrupt. The Sultan begs for your help. Imagine that moment. You're the richest man alive. You try to do good. You try to follow Allah's commandment to be charitable. And instead, you've destroyed thousands of lives. For the first time in his life, Mansa Musa learned a lesson that all his wealth couldn't have taught him. Sometimes generosity can be destructive. Sometimes good intentions aren't enough. But Mansa Musa was nothing if not a problem solver. And the solution he came up with? Absolutely genius. Here's the problem: too much gold in circulation. The solution? Remove the gold from circulation. Mansa Musa did something no ruler had ever done before or since. He went to every major moneylender in Cairo and he borrowed his own gold back at high interest rates. Think about this. The richest man in history taking out loans. Not because he needed money, he had tons more gold back home, but because by borrowing gold, he pulled it out of circulation. Less gold in circulation meant prices could stabilize. The inflation slowed, then stopped, then reversed. It took 3 years for Cairo's economy to fully recover, but it worked. The funny part? Mansa Musa made a profit on the deal. When he sent gold from Mali to repay the loans with interest, that gold was worth more because he'd fixed the economy. The man accidentally broke an economy, fixed it, and made money doing it. But Cairo wasn't the only victim. The cities of Medina and Mecca took 10 years to recover. The entire Mediterranean gold trade was disrupted for a generation. One man, one trip, 3 economies destroyed, all because he was too generous. But here's the plot twist nobody talks about. This economic disaster, it put Africa on the map, literally. Before Mansa Musa's Hajj, European maps showed Africa as an empty wasteland with dragons and monsters. After, the 1375 Catalan Atlas shows Mansa Musa sitting on a throne, holding a golden nugget right in the center of Africa. European traders suddenly realized, wait, there's an empire in Africa with this much gold? Trade routes were established. Diplomatic relations began. Scholars traveled to Timbuktu. Now, why does this matter today? Because we're living in the same world. When the US Federal Reserve prints too much money, inflation. When billionaires dump stock, markets crash. When oil prices spike, global recession. And that lesson about generosity, still relevant. How many charities have destroyed local economies by flooding them with free goods? How many aid programs have created dependency instead of development? Mansa Musa learned what we're still learning. Wealth is power, but wisdom is knowing how to use it. Every billionaire today talking about giving away their fortune. They should study what happened in Cairo first. But here's what I love most about this story. After his Hajj, Mansa Musa went home and built the greatest educational system Africa had ever seen. The University of Sankore in Timbuktu became the Oxford of Africa. The libraries he funded preserved knowledge that would have been lost forever. He learned from his mistake. Instead of giving away gold, he invested in mines. And 700 years later, the gold is gone. But the manuscripts, the knowledge, the legacy, still here. So here's my question for you. If you had Mansa Musa's wealth, $400 billion, what would you do? And more importantly, how would you do it without destroying economies? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about your solutions. And here's a mind blower. Economists calculate that if Mansa Musa's gold was released into today's economy all at once, it would cause a global recession lasting 15 years. One man's travel money could break the modern world economy. If this story blew your mind, hit that subscribe button. We're uncovering Africa's hidden histories every Tuesday and Friday. Next time, we're talking about the African city that was performing cataract surgery when Europe thought disease was caused by demons. You're not ready for that story. And remember, they told us Africa had no great civilizations. They told us we contributed nothing to world history. They lied, and we have the receipts in gold. This is ancient Africa revealed, and the truth will set us free. Oh, and one more thing. Mansa Musa's great-nephew who inherited the throne, he sailed west with 2,000 ships in 1311 and never returned. Some say he reached the Americas 200 years before Columbus, but that is a story for another day.